Hello everyone and welcome to Tony's Healthy Kitchen. I am your host, Tony La Ferrara. Each episode of our 10-part video series will focus on a different health topic that is important to our well-being as we get older. With the help of our guests, we will explore and learn more about each topic from a medical perspective, and we will also focus on healthy food options, fitness tips, and delicious, easy to prepare recipes that will help us improve and maintain a healthy lifestyle as we get older. Well, today's episode, it's all about proteins. You know, eating proteins is often associated with eating meats and building muscle. But we know that proteins are really involved in much, much more than that. So what is protein? And why do we need protein in our diet? Is animal protein better than plant-based protein? And how much do we need to eat on a daily basis? So we're going to answer all these questions and share some delicious recipe with the help of our special guest, registered dietitian, Michelle Fedele. Hello, Michelle.
Hi.
Welcome to Tony's Healthy Kitchen.
Hi, Tony. I'm so excited to be here again with you.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, Michelle. Michelle, as we get older, our body composition changes. And one of the major alterations is the reduction in total body protein. So a number of studies have identified protein as a very important nutrient, especially when as we're getting older. So what is protein, Michelle? And why do we need protein in our diet?
Well, you're right, Tony. As we age, things start to slow down and need a little extra help to keep us going for the long haul. So protein is made up of like 20 amino acids that work together in our body to help us with lean muscle mass, with a wound healing, with recovering from surgery, with strength. So it's really important that we include protein. It's one of the major macronutrients. So protein, carbohydrates, and fat are the three macronutrients. So at least 20% of our plate, of our diet, should be protein.
Should be protein, yeah.
Yeah, and as we get older, our protein needs increase slightly. Now, that's a new addition in the last, I would say, about 7 to 10 years. I've done some research that shows before, as adults under the age of 65, we need about 0.8 grams of protein per kilo. But as we age, that slightly increases to 1 to 1.2. Now, of course, as I preface that, if there's any other illnesses or kidney disease or any other things, those numbers will definitely change. So the recommendation for that 1 gram per kilo body weight to 1.2 is for someone with no other issues going on. So if you do have issues going on, it's important to speak with your physician or get a consult with a registered dietitian to find the exact amount for your body weight.
Can we eat too much protein, or is just, we need to be careful how much we eat?
Well, our bodies are very, very smart. And what they do is they take all the amino acids that we eat all day and they reassemble them into different amino acid chains that we need. And then they make it as we need for our body to replenish it. But, eating too much can be a problem if you do have kidney issues, if you have any issues with your digestion. There's some issues that you need to double check with your physician. But on the most part, North Americans and first world countries are not very deficient in protein. That's not a major issue. And I think sometimes people worry so much about eating protein that they're really eating more than they need to. So that's why using that calculation to use your body weight in kilos, either times 1 to 1.2, that can give you an accurate kind of idea.
Good idea. Michelle, where do we get our proteins from?
So proteins come from plant sources, vegetables. It comes from dairy. It comes from animal sources. Fruit is the one that has the least amount of protein. But everything else I have shown here that we'll go through does have protein. It's pretty amazing that even our breads do, our dairies do, our pastas. So we're getting protein all over the place each day. But like you mentioned, it's important to have your plate balanced. And how I always explain it to my patients is that if you use the palm of your hand, on average, if you fill the palm of your hand with protein, whether it be plant-based or animal-based, this size of your protein here is about 20 grams of protein. So that can help you idea to measure if you don't have a label.
Yeah, now, we talked a little bit about plant-based proteins and animal proteins. What is the difference between the two of them? And the big question is, which one is better?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I feel that people have a misconception that you can only get your protein that works best for your body from animal sources. And that's actually not true. So what the difference is that if we talk about health disease in like cancer, cardiovascular disease, heart and stroke, all this, having animal proteins is where all the cholesterol is. And all the cholesterol is in that animal protein. But here that I have plant-based shown to you, you're going to get all the benefits of the protein without the health risks behind it.
Right. But cholesterol is an important thing of our, in our diet as well, right?
Exactly. And, to share something personal with our viewers so they can really see the benefits of plant-based is I've had high cholesterol since I've been under the age of 10.
Right.
And when I was 12 years old, I switched to being plant-based, and this was solely on my own research, being 12. And I have had, success on trying to keep myself healthy from a cardiovascular point of view for all these years. And my cardiologist says if I wasn't eating plant-based, I might have had my heart attack way back in my 30s if I wasn't eating healthy.
So, Michelle, what happens to our body if we don't have an adequate amount of protein?
So if we don't have enough protein, which, like, again, I said, in first world countries, and especially here in Canada, it's not that difficult to get enough protein for the day. But as we age, you tend to eat less per the day. You don't feel as hungry. So what I've noticed with my patients is that they can go hours and hours without eating, and they miss all that opportunity for protein. So you start to feel weak. The risk of falling becomes higher because you're losing that lean body mass. And even simple daily activities of living, like bending down to get to the toilet or in and out of the shower, you need to have some strength. And having enough protein also helps your immune system be strong. And especially in the climate that we're in today, keeping our immune system strong, being as healthy as we can, that's where protein plays a huge role, Tony.
Right, and it also helps with the healing if we get sick or if we get hurt, or
Exactly.
we can recover quickly if we have a proper amount of proteins in our body.
And especially if you suffer with diabetes, wound healing is a major factor with people who suffer with diabetes. Their wound healing is delayed, so having enough protein is going to help that healing process be more efficient. And as well, the protein helps stabilize one's blood sugar as well. So it's important to include a protein in each meal to help your blood sugar stay stable so you don't have those spikes and lows if you have diabetes.
So I know your favorite subject is plant-based proteins.
Yes.
So tell us about all of that good stuff, Michelle.
Okay, so here in front of us, we have a variety of different types of food groups here that contain protein. So you might be shocked that here, this simple pasta here, if we look at the label behind here, for 1 cup of this pasta, it's already 11 grams of protein. Now, you might not even think this pasta is a great source of protein, but it's amazing. And then here, of course, we have our lentils, beans, and legumes. That is where you're going to get not only the fiber that we spoke about in a previous session, but also will give you the healthy plant-based protein to help disease fight as well, especially for colon cancer, diverticular disease, and also with diabetes. Nuts and legumes are really important. I have these great snacks that I just noticed, a great Canadian company called Three Farmers. And they have these little lentil packs in different flavors to give you as snacks quickly in your purse. And if you look at the label here, there is 10 grams of protein in here, which is incredible. Here I have this great pasta. It's a chickpea pasta.
Yes.
And it has 23 grams of protein in there. So if you don't feel like eating meat one day, or you don't want to make a big fuss with cooking, putting this with a bit of your crushed tomatoes, this is a great way to get protein, and you'll feel full for a long time. Here I have tofu. Now, tofu is a great example of some people are worried or nervous to include tofu in their diet, but it's the most versatile food that I use daily in my cooking. So here I have an example of an extra firm plain tofu. And this one is fantastic. This is a mango tofu. And you can use it to make tofu cheesecake, to make a higher protein dessert. You can put this in smoothies, in muffins. So it's extremely versatile and a great source of protein. I also have hummus. It's my favorite. Using that as a snack with some vegetables would be a great option to get your protein in here. I've also made some dishes for you today. So these are quick recipes that we'll obviously include for everyone to make. It honestly took me no time at all. And I know you might be thinking, oh, well, you're an expert. Well, listen, I'm no Martha Stewart, so I'm easy for cooking. I'm not an expert like you, Tony, but here is one of our favorite family dishes. It's rapini with lentils. So this took me no time at all to make. And just having this little rapini and lentils is great for a school lunch or to have as a snack. And it's chock full of fiber, of potassium, of protein. So this is a great dish. And this one is lots of fun. Hopefully you can all see it. What it's here, it's a baked sweet potato. And I use the sweet potato because of its low glycemic index. And that means the sugar index rating food from 0 to 100. And from a diabetic point of view, picking the least weight from 100 is the safest in terms of blood sugar control. I took chickpeas and I roasted them in the oven I put chili powder on it, some turmeric. I mean, honestly, you can put any flavor you'd like.
Right.
And then I topped it with some avocado for some healthy fats. And this is a great one dish meal. And then my favorite and staple here is the tofu stir fry, which honestly, if things are starting to go bad in your fridge, I go in there, I grab whatever it is, and I can just throw it in and put it together.
What about eggs and cheese? There's a lot of protein in that as well.
Absolutely. So 1 egg is 6 grams of protein, and all the protein is in the white, Tony. So if you're worried about your cholesterol, all the cholesterol is in the yolk. So if you were concerned about it, you could do 2 egg whites with 1 yolk, and you could work on it that way to try to extend it. And all the protein is in that, like I mentioned. Having Greek yogurt, low-fat Greek yogurt, is amazing for protein. It's 18 grams of protein for 3/4 of a cup. Now, like I said, the palm of your hand's about 20, so 3/4 of a cup of that Greek yogurt will give you almost 1/3 of your needs for the entire day.
Right. And what about cheese in general, Michelle? We know that cheese also has a lot of protein, but do we need to be careful when we consume cheese?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, me with my cholesterol issues and always being mindful of that, it's a lot of saturated fat in there. I know we'll talk about fats in a later session, but you want to have milk fat to the M.F percentage point to be less than 20%. So if you're looking for, let's say, a mozzarella, it could be 20%. Or like a bocconcini, a provolone, who's 12%. So you're looking for 20 and less. And so that would be the better option than going for the higher cheddars and the bries and all those other delicious cheeses, but I wouldn't include them on a daily basis.
Michelle, some plant-based proteins such as quinoa and soy, they both have complete proteins in them. Is this a good choice to add to our diet?
Yes, it is great. And I'm glad you brought up that issue with complete protein, because it's a myth that if you're plant-based or vegetarian or vegan, you need to combine your beans with a starch to make it complete. Now that started way back with a physician who wrote a paper in 1971, actually, Tony, and it actually was Dee Myth, and she actually recalled that information back in the 80s. So because our body is so smart, it takes all the amino acids that we eat all day, and it puts it together the way it needs it. So we don't need to eat our lentils with our rice to make sure our body absorbs that protein from the lentils. Our body will do it on its own. So even if you had like the lentils and rapini, don't be worried that when you eat this, you didn't have quinoa with it. Because throughout the day, you're going to eat starches, and that's where the amino chains will all grab from each other and put themselves together, reassemble themselves, if I may say, and get what your body needs from that.
Michelle, one of the questions that I have is that a lot of studies show that people on a vegan diet or vegetarian diet are at lower risk of certain diseases, including cancer, hypertension, obesity, and heart disease. Should we consider a vegan diet, a vegetarian diet?
Well, as I mentioned, I am plant-based and I have been for the majority of my life. And to be honest, I did this before I was even a dietitian, and it was due to health reasons that I made this change. There's so much evidence out there from a cancer survivorship point of view, from cancer prevention, to follow more of a plant-based diet and reduce the amount of extra saturated fats that come from the animal products that can cause all these diseases. There's so much research out there, and I'm more than happy if your viewers want some access to this. There's some great websites they can go on as well that we can link that can show more evidence about this. And you can see this within the stores now. There's more and more products, and more of the restaurants are coming out with plant-based options, which is great because back in the 80s, all I had was bagel and margarine. I didn't have many other choices. So I think it's a great life choice to start to move in that direction. And I always tell my clients, it's not an all or nothing. So don't feel like you have to go cold turkey, for lack of a better word. You can do, 1 or 2 days a week, get your whole family involved and try some plant-based meals and then slowly work up to it. And I would start off by cutting out the most, offenders from a health point of view, like the cold cuts, the fried meats, frying your food, those kind of things, Tony, would be the easiest to get rid of initially.
Right, and we haven't mentioned fish yet. What about fish? Is fish a good source of protein?
Well, there are good sources of protein as well. However, it also comes with other problems such as mercury, such as the way it's caught, as well as it could cause some of issues in terms of a cholesterol point of view, because again, it is an animal protein which has the cholesterol, especially the shellfish as well. If we touch on, and I know we might talk about this at another time, but it's interesting, people want to be eating fish because of the omega-3. But what's interesting is that the fish itself doesn't even make its own omega-3. It eats it from the seaweed. It eats it from, the plants, the kelp. So we can cut out that middleman, which is the fish, to get the source of that too. And that seems true also with B12, which becomes a big topic and question for me. If you're reducing your meat, are you going to be B12 deficient? I always ask that question. And what's interesting is that the animal itself doesn't produce B12. It gets it from the bacteria and microorganisms from the grass that it's eating. So from a health point of view, you can eliminate, again, the cow and just get the B12 from where they're getting it from. So it's interesting when you start to learn about the different backgrounds of where these nutrients come from.
Michelle, your recipes look very delicious and very, very healthy. But I also have a recipe that I would like to share with our viewers. It is my fish in crazy water, or as the Italians would call it, pesce all'acqua pazza. You can use a branzino or a trout for this recipe. They're both very delicious. Now, the fish is gently poached in a simple broth made with garlic, parsley, wine, some water, cherry tomatoes, lemons, olive oil, salt, and pepper. To put it all together, you need a large baking tray, and you also need to preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Add salt and pepper in the fish cavity, and place some roughly chopped parsley, some chopped garlic, and lemon slices in the cavity as well. Cut 3 slashes in the thickest part of the fish, drizzle with olive oil, and season with salt and pepper. Arrange all the tomatoes, the garlic, the parsley, the lemon slices all around the fish, and pour the white wine, the water, and the remaining olive oil inside the pan. Bake for 20-25 minutes, and there you have it. Fish in crazy water, packed with delicious, healthy proteins. Well, Michelle, we are almost at the end of our episode. I just wanted to end it by saying that I agree with you that if we're able to reduce or perhaps even eliminate animal-based proteins and substitute them with a lot of plant-based proteins, which are easily available and they taste good, and you can put a meal together quite easily and very quickly, then our health is going to be better, and as we get older, we're going to be able to function a lot better.
Exactly, Tony. The whole point is aging is a privilege, but we want to do it as best as we can to be there for the grandkids, to be there for our children and our family, and not to just be like a witness or a bystander. We want to be a participant. So in order to be healthy, having enough protein, keeping our lean muscle mass as much as we can as we age is so important. And that also goes together with exercising and walking and doing some light weight-bearing exercises. That's going to help with your bone density as well. So all of that comes into play. And I know that your viewers probably say, oh, this seems so simple. You always say eat well and exercise. But there's no magic pill, Tony. It's eat food, enjoy to be with your family, get out there, get some fresh air. And really, that's going to be the key to longevity.
Michelle, thank you so much for your masterclass on proteins and sharing your recipes with us. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you again in another episode.
Thanks so much, Tony. It's my pleasure, and any questions your viewers have, I'm more than happy to answer them and help them on their plant-based journey.
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you to all of you for dropping by my kitchen, Tony's Healthy Kitchen. Please join me again next week. We will talk about salt and hypertension with our special guest, registered dietitian Rowena Leon. Until then, be well and stay healthy.